Let's go ahead and get started here. Gentlemen. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to start from scratch. I'm just going to wipe out what little bit we had started the other day, and I'm going to start with some basics here. The first thing, if you look over here in the corner, obviously you cannot see it in mine, but there would be a little rogue line here. We would pick outside that rogue line, we would left click hold and draw a blue box around it. Make sure the entire object is inside there. Select it. And then after you show that it is selected, what button do you hit?
Enter.
Wrong.
Space.
Wrong.
Wait, what did you say?
In order to delete an object, what do you hit?
Delete.
The delete button. Okay. So the next item, if we take a look at our drawing here, you're going to notice that there's a specific distance that was offset, both in the vertical and the horizontal, to start our project. The vertical number is 1.7845. The vertical number was 1.0625. I'm going to go ahead and do that offset right now. Go under Modify, second row, fourth icon, offset, type in a distance of 1.7845. Enter, select your object, give it a direction, left click. To get out of the command, there are several ways you can do it. You can either hit Enter key, the space bar, the right click, and confirm it, or you can go down and you can hit that little blue check mark that shows up. To get back in the same command, right click, repeat last command, or space bar, or enter. I'm going to type in my distance of 1.0625, enter, select the object, give it a direction, and go ahead and confirm it. Once you're to this point, the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to establish how big our object is. How big of a footprint does it have? From left to right, it is 6.25. Overall height is 4 units. So I'm going to go ahead, go into offset. I'll do 6.25 to start with. Select my line and offset it over, left clicking. Right click, confirm, right click, repeat last command. I said my unit or my object's 4 units tall. I'm going to select my line, give it a direction, and left click again. At this point, I've got a lot of extra material that I don't need anymore. So I'm going to show you how to trim it. I can just hover over the item. I can delete it this way. I'm going to show you a quicker way to do it. If I left click hold, I can kind of draw this like scribbly line. Oops. Maybe I don't want to do it that way. You have to be careful with your scribbly line. Left click hold, draw my scribbly line. Okay. This is a quick way of doing your trim. Now, at this point, go ahead and hit save just because you've done quite a few steps. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and worry about this little chunk that was cut out of our drawing. So if I take a look over here, can you see that chunk I'm talking about? It is 1 unit tall and 0.75 units deep. So again, offset, I'll pick 1. And I'm going to pick this object line here, offset it up 1 unit. Escape, space, 0.75. Pick my line, offset it inward. Confirm it. So again, I offset 1 unit tall, 0.75 units in. Next thing I can do is I can go ahead and clean some things up here. So I'm going to do a trim, get rid of these 2 lines here, get rid of these 2 lines here. Again, you've done quite a bit of work. Go ahead and hit save. Sure. I was gonna stop anyways for a minute. All right. So while a couple people are catching up, does anybody remember what ortho does? Ill.
Doesn't it like make your line straight?
Correct. Yes, it snaps it either horizontal or vertical. Good job. Okay. Let's see here. One thing that I don't remember if I talked to you guys about when you're using the trim command is you can hold the shift key down while you're in trim, and you can do something called a flip flop. And what flip flop does is it allows you to now take the trim command and turn it into the extend command. You can also do the same thing with if you're in the extend command, you can use flip flop by holding the shift key and you can turn it into trim. It's a pretty nice little feature for when you want to do something real quick and you don't want to get out of a command to go back into a command. All right, how's everybody looking? Yeah, I know. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the next step of this drawing. If I take a look at the drawing, I'm going to focus over here on this corner. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out to you with this corner here. You're going to notice that there's a notch cut into it. I can tell you how long the notch is, or from where the notch starts and stops. I can tell you that. I can tell you the location of how tall the notch is. But one thing I don't have on here is how tall this piece is right here. On occasion, you will find drawings in manufacturing, made by me, in textbooks, that will occasionally accidentally omit a dimension. Sometimes it's really easy to be able to figure out what that dimension would be. Other times, it's kind of a guessing game. So I'm going to try to help you guys out with trying to figure out how to figure out what this dimension is right here. Let's take a look at some common information that we have. We know from this point here to here is 2 inches. We know from here to here is 1 inch. That means from here to here is how much? 1. Okay? If I take a look at this object here and I take a look at this object here, they look pretty well balanced to each other, meaning they look the same length or similar length. So in this case, I could assume, and assuming is a bad thing because you can take 3 words and make them out of assume. Okay? But we can get into a lot of trouble if we do make an assumption, but Ashton says, go for it. Holden's like, let's just do it. Okay? So we're going to call this 1/2 inch. I'm going to call this 1/2 inch. Now, somebody's going to say, well, how do you know it's not 0.6 and 0.4? And the reason why I'm going to say that it's probably not going to be that is just look at my dimensions. The biggest difference between any dimension is 0.25 units. So if I look over here, just by guesstimation, does this look any different than this by 0.25 units? And the answer is no. Does this one look like it's 3/4 of an inch and this one look like it's 1/4 inch? No, they look pretty balanced. So we're going to use that information. So let's go back to our drawing, go into offset. First number I'm going to pick is 1. Pick my bottom object line, offset it up 1 inch. Right click, confirm it. Right click, get me back into the same command. This time I'm going to use 0.5. I'm going to offset it 1 time, And then I'm going to take that object I just offset, and I'm going to offset it a second time. Right click, confirm. Now, Ashton's wondering, where is this line right here? Okay, where does this vertical line need to go? So let's go back to our drawing and take a look here. So this vertical line, it's showing a dimension that says 4 units from this edge over here. So I'm going to go back here, offset 4 units from here to here. What's the question? How do I get 2 lines here? So first thing I did was offset 1 unit. Then I got out of the command, went back into the command and chose 0.5. I offset it so I got out of the command after I chose 1, and then I offset my object. Now I went back into the command again, and I chose 0.5 as my value. I selected the item and offset it, just basically giving it a direction. While I'm still in the command, I can select that line again and just offset it up. This here? Because I took this line originally, offset that upwards, and then I just offset it again. So really that line just stopped right there at that corner. Okay. The length of the line does not matter. All right, so next thing I can do is go into the trim command and get rid of the lines I don't want. Now, remember how I was telling you guys that you can't trim out an object? You can't trim out a complete object. It's always going to remain part. There's going to be a part of it that remains. Well, in the web version, I didn't quite catch that you can actually hover over an object and you can fully delete it. That probably is something new with the web version that I clearly was not aware of. In 2020 and older of the desktop version of the software, you could not do that. Okay, so I've gone through and trimmed all that. Yes, sir.
What's the vertical line that you got on that side?
This piece right here,
No,
here, here.
yeah, that was that line.
This was 4 inches I offset over. So I kind of just trimmed up my object so it looks like this. Now there's a couple more things that we need to do in order to get this drawing so that we can get our angle here. Let's go back to our drawing and take a look at it. You're going to notice that this line here has a value that says 4.75 units from this location to this location right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to our drawing. I'm going to use offset again. What number do you think I'm going to type in this time? So go back and take a look here. If I want to make a line from here to here, what do you think my value is going to be for my offset? 4.75. Good. So I type in 4.75 and enter. Select my vertical line over here. Give it a direction. Confirm it. I'm going to go ahead and do a trim. Select my line. Trim it off. Confirm it. And then I'm just going to take that line that we offset, and I'm going to delete that out. The very last thing that I need to do is create a line that connects those two floating endpoints together. Under draw, I can go to line, bring my cursor over to the intersecting endpoint, stretch it down to my other endpoint over here. Right click, confirm it to get out of the command. Make sure you hit save. We're pretty darn close to being done. The only thing that we need to do next is go back and double check that our title block looks correct. So if I look at my title block, everything appears to be correct over here. Occasionally, you will notice that sometimes your text will default back to that yucky straight TXT format, that blah type of text. If it does that on you, just double click on your text, open up the text edit, and then just go ahead and click your check mark again. If the orientation or the justification of your text is not all the way over to the right like it's supposed to be, again, you can do the same thing. Double click on it, open it up, and then just click the check mark, and it should fix it for you. Once you have everything the way you want it, click Zoom Extents, save. So again, Zoom Extent, save, and then I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but Sophia, I'll be back there in just a minute. They fixed the plot to PDF. So we can now officially print our drawing. So I'm going to go plot to PDF, click the plot to PDF. And then once this box turns green, just like it did, you'll notice that now it says download PDF. I can select that. And then I can download it. And what I always want you to do is I always want you to double check the download before you upload it to me. Okay, so just make sure everything looks correct in here. In this case, everything looks correct. Okay. The file name is correct. The only thing that it does is it adds layout to the end of our file name. We don't care about that, so we'll just submit it the way it is. So once you're all said and done, you can go ahead and load it to Schoology, and you're done.
How did you get that document